In June of 2021, a single 23-second clip changed everything. Jelly Roll's wife, Bunnie, had spent months hidden behind carefully placed extensions and expertly applied makeup while millions followed her every move. Then, in one candid moment, she yanked away the hair that framed her face, wiped off the last fleck of foundation, and revealed the woman behind the glam. The internet went wild. 42 million views and 8 million likes in just 3 days. Fashion Nova swooped in with a 7-figure offer. But beneath the crazy numbers and brand deals lay something far more powerful. The truth that beauty isn't about filters or facades, but the courage to show up unguarded. That raw authenticity is what turned Bunnie into a phenomenon overnight. And it's what every creator, influencer, and storyteller needs to understand if they hope to cut through the noise. For years, fans had only glimpsed a carefully curated version of Bunnie. She was the supportive wife, the picture-perfect partner standing alongside her husband at every red carpet moment. She wore the latest trends and arrived on time, looking as polished as any Hollywood starlet. But nobody knew the half-truths tucked into that flawless exterior. The late nights spent researching techniques to blend concealer seamlessly, the secret visits to stylists who could perfect her lash line, the hours logged watching tutorials to mimic the look of skin that glowed from within. All of it was a performance, and in a world addicted to polished perfection, she was playing exactly the role her audience expected. Until she wasn't. What made that reveal so riveting wasn't the shock factor alone. It was the contrast. Viewers had grown accustomed to seeing celebrities and influencers as gods among mortals. Untouchable, pristine, and perpetually flawless. Then, without warning, Bunnie pulled back the curtain on that illusion. There she stood, vulnerable and honest, her real face framed with nothing but her own hands. No filters, no retouching, no smoke and mirrors. In that instant, the script flipped. Fans went from passive observers to active participants in a story of courage, trust, and radical transparency. Comments flooded in. "Thank you for being real. I feel seen. This is exactly what we needed." It was more than just an influencer doing something unexpected. It was a human being daring to be human. That vulnerability also revealed a savvy understanding of storytelling. Bunnie didn't simply show her bare face. She created a moment packed with narrative tension. There was the setup, months of hiding, whispers of perfection. Then the payoff, the reveal, the gasp, the rush of emotion that followed. And finally, the aftermath. The viral statistics, the brand deals, the flood of DMs sharing personal stories of self-acceptance. Each beat landed with precision, like scenes in a well-crafted film. She didn't just expose her skin, she revealed a truth so magnetic that attention didn't just arrive. It begged to stick around. In the days that followed, the story deepened. Fans learned that Bunnie's journey to that moment was paved with struggles they could relate to. Waking up at dawn to soothe her children, scrambling to hit deadlines, balancing vulnerability with perception. They discovered that behind the bright lights and social media smile was a woman who had fought self-doubt and scrutiny every step of the way. And that context turned her reveal from a single viral event into a chapter in a larger narrative about resilience, self-love, and the power of authenticity. Meanwhile, her husband Jelly Roll, already a renowned artist with his own powerful backstory, watched as his partner became more than just an accessory to his fame. She reclaimed her own spotlight, proving that the most compelling stories aren't those we script for the camera, but those we live, often imperfectly, beyond its lens. And in doing so, she taught us an invaluable lesson: genuine connection isn't born from perfection. It emerges when we reveal our cracks, our scars, and the real faces we hide from the world. Over the next sections, we'll dive into how Bunnie built that life behind the filters, the critical moments that led to her decision to go makeup-free, and the ripple effect that followed. Brand partnerships, community movements, and a redefinition of what it means to be an influencer in 2024. We'll examine the high-stakes psychology behind her reveal, unpack the creator's toolkit she used to amplify her message, and learn how her story became a masterclass in turning vulnerability into impact. Get ready to uncover the full arc of a moment that shattered illusions, rewrote the rules of online influence, and showed us that the most powerful beauty secret of all is simply being yourself. Before June 2021, Bunnie's profile picture always glowed with that flawless, filtered complexion. She had mastered the art of digital presentation. Every post, story, and reel was meticulously planned. The golden hour lighting, the perfectly posed angle, the on-brand palette of warm neutrals. She wasn't just a supporting partner. She had become a beauty influencer in her own right, collaborating with up and coming makeup brands, styling hair extensions for Instagram tutorials, and quietly building a seven-figure side hustle. Yet behind the photos and the sponsored content, she grappled with the same insecurities that affect millions of viewers. Pressure to look younger, fear of judgment for showing real skin, anxiety about losing followers if she ever deviated from perfection. It was a constant tightrope. In private, she spent hours in her makeshift studio, an area of their Nashville home, outfitted with ring lights, tripods, and sample palettes. She tested new foundations, color-correcting sticks, and clip-on lashes. She studied macro shots of skin retouching and practiced techniques to highlight and contour her face until every angle seemed camera-ready. Her fans applauded her tutorials, commented on her product review for the latest hydrating primer, and eagerly awaited the next hack to conceal dark circles. Yet as her audience grew, amassing over 5 million devoted followers, the stakes escalated. Comments ranged from adoring praise to cruel ridicule, and every new blemish or uneven jawline became a potential crisis worthy of immediate polish. The turning point arrived one rainy afternoon when Bunnie scrolled through months of her own posts. She realized she had spent more time perfecting filters than actually living moments. Her wedding throws, playdates with her daughter, and impromptu kitchen jams with jelly were all fodder for content, captured and crafted for engagement rather than savoring. That day, she felt a pang of regret. The memories she once cherished now existed only as frames in an endless feed. She understood that the more she chased that curated perfection, the further she drifted from authenticity, and the very thing her audience craved. Internally, the pressure weighed heavily. Brands poised contract offers with one caveat after another. Must maintain X aesthetic. No drastic changes without approval. Remain polished at all times. Those agreements, while lucrative, felt like invisible shackles. At night she lay awake listening to Jelly rap bars in the next room. His lyrics raw, unfiltered, born from the friction of real life. She admired how he turned pain and imperfection into art, how his raw vocals resonated with listeners who felt unseen. She wondered if she could ever be that real, that brave. But fear held her back. A fear of being rejected, a fear of exposing unflattering angles, a fear that her followers would unfollow if they saw her without the facade. Then, one morning, she caught sight of a post by a beauty creator who posted 0 makeup selfies, with acne scars, uneven brow growth, and still received overwhelming love. The comments celebrated the creator's courage. This is liberation. You're redefining beauty. Thank you for reminding me that I'm not alone. That single scroll moved something inside Bunnie. She felt the pull of a greater purpose, to transform her own moment of vulnerability into a movement. She saw the potential impact of showing her real face and sending a message that beauty was more than physical perfection. In that instant, she resolved to create her own no-makeup reveal, but only on her terms. Preparation began quietly. She chose a neutral background and natural window light, ensuring the shadows would fall gently across her features. She turned off every filter and set her phone in video mode. Then, after weeks of planning, a spark of adrenaline hit. She smiled softly, reached forward, and peeled back the final layer of hair that had framed her persona. She exhaled as if letting go of the role she'd played for so long, and she'd pressed record. 23 unfiltered seconds to dismantle years of expectations. 23 seconds to break free. When she uploaded that video, she wrote only 3 simple words in the caption, "No filter." Her heart raced as she hit share. Within minutes, the first wave of views rolled in. Fans gasped in the comments. Some apologized for unrealistic standards. Others shared their own unfiltered selfies. The momentum built so quickly the algorithm amplified it. And before she knew it, 8 million likes had piled up on her profile. Those metrics unlocked new brand conversations. But more importantly, they awakened an online community that had been craving authenticity. It wasn't just about makeup. It was about collective liberation, a reminder that we all deserve to exist beyond the pixel. And that shift, both personal and communal, began right at that threshold between fear and freedom. Today, almost overnight, the world seemed to pivot around that 23-second video. The stream of notifications turned into an avalanche of comments, emojis, and shared stories as viewers from every corner of the globe poured in to witness the reveal. What started as a simple gesture of self-acceptance transformed into a cultural moment, one that tore down the walls separating influencers from their audience and sparked a movement celebrating genuine connection. As the views climbed past 50 million, it became clear that this wasn't a one-hit wonder. It was the birth of a new paradigm in online storytelling. Brands watched with bated breath as engagement metrics soared. Some offered typical cosmetics contracts, while others proposed bold collaborations that mirrored Bunnie's unfiltered ethos. In less than a week, she was fielding inquiries from skincare lines, body-positive apparel designers, and mental health organizations, seeking to partner with a face that embodied honesty and strength. But rather than chase every dollar sign, Bunnie struck a balance. She aligned with companies whose values resonated with her own, ensuring each partnership felt authentic and served a greater purpose. One skin care brand launched a limited edition No Filter collection, promising donations to nonprofit groups supporting self-esteem workshops for young women. Another fitness app created a series of mindfulness sessions, narrated by Bunnie's real-life story, encouraging users to embrace disconnect and tune into what really matters. This strategic curation did more than generate revenue. It amplified the message behind the moment. Fans watched as each brand collaboration wove seamlessly into Bunnie's personal narrative, reminding them that transparency could be monetized ethically. Community groups formed on platforms like Discord and Facebook, where thousands of members shared their own before and after pictures, celebrated their imperfections, and offered tips to ditch the comparison trap. Weekly live-stream chats hosted by Bunnie and a guest psychologist tackled topics from self-love to battling online anxiety, turning casual viewers into active participants in a supportive ecosystem. Meanwhile, the headline, "Jelly Roll's wife goes makeup free," morphed into a tagline for essays, podcasts, and news segments debating the future of influencer culture. Commentary ranged from praise for shattering false standards to criticism from purists, who argued she was exploiting vulnerability for clicks. Even this debate fed the momentum. Bunnie addressed skeptics directly in a candid post, "Vulnerability isn't weakness," she wrote, "but a bridge that connects people in an increasingly disconnected world." That post alone garnered over 2 million engagements, proving once more that honesty could outshine any glossy facade. Behind the scenes, Bunnie's family life flourished in ways she hadn't anticipated. Her daughter, who had grown used to camera flashes in the playroom, watched her mother model self-compassion. Jelly Roll, inspired by his wife's bravery, began finding his own moments of raw authenticity, sharing freestyles on social media without polish, discussing mental health struggles in interviews, and using his platform to amplify voices that had been silenced. Together, they curated a series of joint appearances that felt less like celebrity cameos and more like heartfelt conversations, drawing capacity crowds and trending on social channels. Yet the road was not without potholes. Trolls and naysayers resurfaced, targeting Bunnie's vulnerabilities with harsh comments and doctored images. One viral thread accused her of orchestrating the reveal solely for brand deals, dubbing her a master manipulator. But rather than dodge the criticism, she confronted it head-on in a transparent live session, inviting critics to ask questions and demanding accountability from those who spread misinformation. By facing backlash with equal parts humor and honesty, she reclaimed the narrative and solidified her standing as a leader in digital resilience. Through these peaks and trenches, a clear blueprint emerged. An open-door approach to influence. Take the raw moment that stirs emotion, frame it within a personal story arc, and follow it up with community engagement that extends beyond vanity metrics. Every call, comment, or like became part of a larger tapestry, reinforcing that influence is not a monologue, but a conversation seeking depth. Bunnie's script rewrote itself with each chapter, from behind the scenes prep to the viral drop, from strategic partnerships to grassroots empowerment. She demonstrated that authenticity, when wielded with intention, could generate both heartwarming social impact and sustainable business growth. And as audience members clicked away from each new update, whether a fresh TikTok, an Instagram reel, or a candid blog post, they didn't just see Bunnie. They saw a reflection of their own struggles, their own stories, and their own desires to be understood. That mirror effect, more than any high-gloss production, crafted a bond that transcended the screen. It was a masterclass in storytelling, blending empathy with strategy, vulnerability with vision. In the next section, we'll dissect the psychological triggers and narrative techniques Bunnie used to keep viewers coming back for more, and we'll uncover how you can apply these insights to your own scripts to forge genuine connections and spark meaningful engagement in your audience's hearts. From the moment that first no-filter clip hit feeds, Bunnie tapped into a masterful sequence of psychological triggers that kept viewers glued and eager for more. First, she harnessed contrast framing. By juxtaposing her polished, filtered persona against her raw, makeup-free self, she created an emotional tug-of-war. Viewers experienced cognitive dissonance. Is this really the same person I saw in glamorous posts? And that tension demanded resolution. Each subsequent update offered a piece of closure, whether a candid Q&A, behind-the-scenes blooper, or unedited vlog segment. That ebb and flow of tension and release became a rhythm viewers craved, much like a favorite TV series that ends on a cliffhanger and pulls you back week after week. Next, she employed social proof with surgical precision. Early commenters admitted they felt liberated to post unfiltered selfies of their own, spawning thousands of user generated posts tagged "Fav No Filter Bunnie." Each new repost and duet reinforced the messaging honesty is celebrated, not punished. And because people naturally conform to popular behavior in ambiguous situations, this cascade of unfiltered snapshots tapped into the bandwagon effect. Viewers who might once have feared negative judgment saw that those judgments had already evaporated, and in fact vulnerability was now the new social currency. Bunnie wasn't just leading a trend. She was crystallizing social norms around authenticity. She also leveraged the scarcity principle. Limited edition, no filter. Merchandise and time-sensitive partnerships reminded her audience that this moment was unique. Rather than endlessly recycling the same narrative, she teased upcoming live streams, exclusive behind-the-scenes footage, and branded product launches tied to her authenticity movement. That sense of FOMO. If I don't tune in tonight, I'll miss something real and raw. Kept engagement rates through the roof. And, because each new piece of content felt like a must-see event, view counts spiked within the first hours of posting, creating a virtuous cycle where algorithms rewarded the urgency with more reach. In crafting her narrative arc, Bunnie wove personal storytelling with universal themes. She confessed moments of self-doubt, like crying in the mirror after a bad skin day, and interspersed those vulnerabilities with victories, such as hitting 1 million unfiltered views or hearing fans say her truth helped them heal. By combining small, intimate details with big, picture achievements, she created a tapestry that extended beyond makeup. Every skin imperfection became a metaphor for life's scars, and every brand collaboration felt like a communal win. That emotional layering tapped into the mere exposure effect. The more people saw her genuine emotions, the more they liked and trusted her, deepening brand loyalty and viewership. Timing, too, played a pivotal role. Bunnie understood peak engagement windows and dropped critical content, like her first unfiltered tutorial or her raw confession on body image, in the early evening, when her core demographic was scrolling after work or school. She used countdown stickers in Instagram stories to build anticipation and leveraged algorithm-friendly formats like short-form TikToks for snackable suspense. Each piece of content funneled viewers into longer forms, YouTube videos, live streams, and community forums, guiding them deeper into her ecosystem. That seamless cross-platform choreography ensured audiences never lost momentum or interest. Finally, she punctuated each narrative beat with clear calls to action that felt sincere, not salesy. Instead of a generic like and subscribe, her prompts spoke to shared values. Drop an unfiltered selfie below. Tag a friend who needs to hear this truth. Join our live circle tonight for honest talk. Those CTAs honored viewers as co-creators in the movement rather than passive consumers. The reciprocity principle kicked in. Having witnessed Bunnie's courage, audiences felt compelled to reciprocate by engaging, sharing, and even purchasing merchandise that symbolized their commitment to authenticity. By dissecting these techniques, contrast framing, social proof, scarcity, emotional storytelling, precise timing, and heartfelt CTAs, you can see how a single 23-second video became the seed for a vast, sustainable community. It wasn't just content, it was a campaign, a social experiment in vulnerability leveraged with strategic finesse. In the next section, we'll outline how you can apply these insights step by step to craft your own signature moment, ensuring your audience not only watches, but chooses to champion your story. Now, let's walk through how you can replicate Bunnie's momentum for your own signature moment. Step by step, action by action, ensuring that when you press record, you're not just chasing views, but building genuine connection. Start by identifying your unique reveal. What's the big contrast framing in your life or niche? Maybe you're an expert who's always offered polished advice, but you've never shown the mistakes behind the scenes. Or perhaps you're a creative who's only shared final products, not the messy drafts and false starts. Pinpoint that tension. Polished versus raw, success versus struggle, ideal versus real. That tension is your narrative fuel. Next, map out the emotional arc. A compelling story needs setup, payoff, and aftermath. For Bunnie, the setup was months of hiding behind extensions and makeup. The payoff was yanking off the final wig clip and exposing her bare face. The aftermath rippled through comments, DMs, brand deals, and community formation. Sketch these beats for your own reveal. What background context does your audience need? What exactly will your reveal look like? How will you show the aftermath? Community reaction, personal reflection, follow-up content. Write a script for that key moment. Even if you want it to feel spontaneous, practice your lines. Know your opening hook. This is the real me, no filter. And envision the visual cues, the steady camera, the neutral backdrop, the natural lighting. Decide whether you'll speak directly to camera or unfold your reveal through action. Will you whisper, "I've been holding this in too long"? Or will you let the silence carry the weight? Every nuance amplifies the emotional punch. Plan your platform strategy. Bunnie dropped her clip simultaneously on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts, hitting multiple algorithm loops at once. Choose 2 or 3 platforms where your audience is most active. Optimize each post for that channel's style. Native captions on TikTok, community stickers on Instagram stories, a concise description with a personal note on YouTube. Use cross promotion. Tease the reveal on one platform with a short trailer, then drive viewers to the full clip elsewhere. Build social proof before you launch. Seed a small test audience, perhaps an email list or private group, with a teaser. Ask a handful of passionate followers to watch first and share feedback. Their early engagement will signal algorithms that your content is worth amplifying. Encourage them to post unfiltered selfies or behind-the-scenes photos with your custom hashtag, creating a groundswell that looks natural when the main reveal drops. Leverage scarcity and urgency. Announce the precise date and time of your reveal. This Thursday at 7 p.m. I'm going live with no filters. I want you there. Use countdown stickers and swipe up links. Promise exclusive Q&A at the end. Stay tuned until the last second for a surprise guest. That FOMO will pack the digital room and push platform algorithms to prioritize your content. When D-Day arrives, stick to your script but stay ready to adapt. Authenticity thrives on imperfection. If you stumble over your words, let it happen. If you get emotional, don't apologize. Let viewers connect with that raw honesty. Then, after the reveal, immediately shift into engagement mode. Reply to comments, reshare fan posts, show behind-the-scenes bloopers. Each interaction fuels more reaction, turning viewers into participants. Follow up with community building content. Host a live roundtable discussion with a guest expert or friend. Invite viewers to share their unfiltered stories in a structured prompt. What's one thing you hide from the world? Gather those responses, highlight the most poignant ones in your next video, and keep the conversation alive. Over time, that creates an ecosystem where authenticity is not a one-off stunt, but the foundation of your brand. Monetize ethically. As offers roll in, vet each partnership against your core values. If a potential sponsor contradicts your message of honesty, for example, a brand selling unrealistic beauty ideals, pass. Instead, align with organizations that reinforce your narrative. Mental health charities, self-care startups, creators promoting body neutrality. Structure deals that include donate, back clauses, or community giveaways, ensuring every dollar amplifies your movement, not just your bank account. Analyze and iterate. Track not only views and likes, but deeper metrics: average watch time, comments per view, follow-through rate to other videos, click-throughs on links. Compare those numbers to your previous content to gauge lift. Then, refine your next reveal with fresh contrast framing. Perhaps introducing a new layer of vulnerability, or exploring a different facet of your story. Finally, sustain momentum with consistency. Authenticity isn't a one-shot event. Continue sharing unpolished moments, mid-edit struggles, personal reflections on growth, candid tutorials that include your mistakes. Use real talk segments at the start of every video to reinforce that honest connection. Over time, your audience will come to expect